Welcome back to Living with a Classic, and I am mounting the carbs here on the XJC, which we're almost getting ready to start this thing up again. So that's the goal for today's video. Hopefully it will fire up. I've gone through the carbs like you've seen in previous videos. Between then and now, lots have been done to this car to prepare it to start up today. So let me just finish getting the carbs in here. I got a couple nuts left to do, and a little bit of fuel lines and linkage, and then I'll show you guys around what's been done, and we'll prepare a couple things, and then let's see if this thing fires into life. The carbs are in place now. We got new coolant hoses back here. I had to make those, or just get some from the parts store that were sort of the right angle and cut them, because those were not in the kit. So there is a 90-degree right there, and then this is just a big swooping U. So that is just straight hose, 13 millimeter, and that is a piece I found with a 90-degree bend in it. And we got new fuel lines coming up here as well, except for these right here. I gotta get those. I didn't realize they were a size smaller than the other ones, so these are just the old ones now, temporary, because I want to start this thing up, and then next time I'm out and about, I'll get a size smaller fuel lines. But got a new line coming all the way over here and one over here. Then, if you remember, I removed the EGR inlet thing. So I made these little blanking plates. Not the prettiest in the world, but they'll work. So they can sit right on top of there. I'm reusing the old gasket with a little bit of gasket material on there. And you can see some interesting spacers here. So I'm reusing the old bolts for now, because I don't have any new bolts that are shorter in that quartz thread, so I just cut them down a little bit and I can use them for now, and then next time I'm out I'll try and get some different ones just to replace them. But today we just want to see if we can get this thing going. So I am going to bolt this down, then I'll show you the rest of the work that's been done around the engine bay and at the new fuel pumps in the back. Blanking plugs are in place, and I'm just working on the HT lead. I just put on the old cap and leads just to start it up for now. We have the old plugs in. Changing out the plugs later. Like I said, I just want to start it up on those because I think it's going to be running quite rich. I just don't want it completely, sit down and destroy new plugs. These are already pretty city. And then when we do plugs, we can do a whole ignition tune-up with everything. But I've just been going through the firing order here because everything was a little bit of a mess. So if you have these little things, they're great, they're numbered, and it's nice if you actually put the right one on there, but they weren't. So just going through here, double checking the firing order, but everything does seem correct now, so hopefully that will fire up. And the only thing left to do under here is probably just blank off a couple of vacuum lines, and I want to do something with the carbs. So let me get that Stromberg adjustment tool and I'll show you what I want to do. So if you remember, these were set. It doesn't turn now, I think. These were set all the way rich, and I think that is. That's that. So we have anti-clockwise, weakens, clockwise is richer. So I think we're going to go a full turn weaker, because it definitely was running rich before. And yeah, chokes were stuck and all that, but I don't think that. Let's see. There we go. That is right there. I don't think they're supposed to be set on the maximum richness, at least. We have fixed some vacuum leaks and some other things, so hopefully that will be better. I'm going to add some oil to them also and put these back on. But let's move to the back and I'll show you guys the new fuel pumps. If you remember, the old fuel pumps were leaking, especially the right one, but I didn't replace them with SUs. Just because a friend of mine had these laying around that he just used for about 6 months before the car was in an accident. They're hardy and they are basically SU, the same specs, just made in Germany, and these are without any points, so they're solid state hardy pumps and should work really well. So just because I had them laying around, those are ones we're using. New hoses everywhere, replaced that fuel filter, and I drained the tanks and I removed the plug to change out this gasket. Just have a look at, yeah, so that would have been quite catastrophic if that started leaking on the road trip. So they are new. I have new gasket for the sender unit. We'll do those before the car leaves as well, but we can add a little bit of fuel and get to those later. So I think now it's time for fluids. We're gonna add fuel to this tank to start out with, because that's the tank that was running before, and I have cleaned out the other ones, so that one should work. But we'll add fuel to this tank, and then we're gonna add some coolant, see if we have any leaks, both fuel and coolant, and see if it fires into life. Just adding coolant here. I'm not going to fill it up to the max because you want to get any of the air out. Also, I'm not sure if I'm going to run it for super long. Just want to see that it starts up on the new carbs and that we hopefully have a cold idle. But let's add a little bit more. Then once it runs again, there's a lot left to do. I want to continue removing more smog stuff. I want to service the transmission, bleed the brakes, change the oil in the rear end. So yeah, there's a lot left to do. Put the interior back in, and yeah, ignition tune-up, and just do a real sort of tune-up of the car. I just want to see if it fires into life. So if we do have major issues, we're still at that point where I would have time to order parts and have them arrive in time. Okay, I think we're starting. Yeah, we got coolant up here to the max now. Great, let me just have a brief look under the car. I'm not seeing any wetness under the car, so that's really good. Just gonna put some oil in here. What I like to do is just lift up the piston with a finger and you fill up the little, whatever you want to call it, the little cylinder here with oil. Everyone has their preference. There is specific carburetor, dashpot oil and all of that. However, I believe that oil is better than no oil, so you might as well do it. And for as long as I've had these cars, I've used regular engine oil, 20W50, and it's worked fine. I mean, if you're going to do racing or something else, maybe you'll use something else. Thicker oil gives better acceleration. Well, I can't speak. Acceleration, and than thinner oil does. But at least what I think is, at least with SUs, I mean, everything's worn out. These are 50 years old, so using a thicker oil, that's fine. And yes, maybe it should be a straight oil, but like I said, oil is better than no oil. Okay, we've got all of this. I'm gonna go underneath with a flashlight, just double check for leaks, but everything does seem fine. I don't hear anything hitting the floor. But add fuel, and we'll see if the carbs leak. Just added fuel to the left tank, and nothing's leaking out so far. I'm gonna put the battery in here on the painted battery box area. So let's see, this is the positive. Yep. And we'll just connect this up. I do want to check just back there as well that we don't have any leaks with the new pumps as soon as we built some pressure and that the fuel filter isn't leaking. New, gaskets and everything. What's going on? And everything, a new filter in there. The old filter was really clean, so it looked old, but it wasn't full of dirt, so that's really good. The left tank that hasn't been used for a while had a bit of debris in the bottom, but I have sort of rinsed it out, so hoping that that will be fine. And maybe we'll bring a spare fuel filter just for the trip, or maybe I'll put pre-filter before the pump on that side so we can sort of keep an eye on that. But I didn't have one like at home right now. Okay. Well, I think we're going to turn the key, see that we have the fuel pump ticking, and see that the carbs fill with fuel, and hopefully they don't overflow. Let's see if we have a working fuel pump. And it's on the left tank. I can hear stuff happening up here. We're just going to stop that for a bit, make sure that we don't have any major leaks. It was a little bit on the noisy side. Maybe the mounts I made may be a little bit too firm. I made them for some old, this is the old bottom hose. But absolutely dry everywhere. That fuel line's getting hard, so we're getting pressure there. So that's good. Let's just have a look at the carbs. I did hear the sound of air escaping from the carbs, so that should be happening. I'm seeing a little bit of wetness right here with my not so great fuel lines. The old ones I had to use right there. Okay. But all the new stuff is nice and dry. I'm going to see if I can just reposition all of this with the hose clamps and get that a little bit more tight. Just, yeah, let's see if I can do that. Let's give this another try. Okay, pump has stopped there, so it's built up pressure, which it didn't before, so hopefully we don't have a leak. Okay, we have tiny bit of wetness right there, but I can live with that with just wanting to fire it up, and then we're going to replace those as soon as I have time to leave for the parts store. One more thing, I don't have any seats in the car, so I think I'm going to fire it up from up here, also because I just remembered last time I started it, this relay would not want to click. So I mean, it would click, but nothing happened with the starter, so I hot wired it with this, which is the positive for the starter, which is really handy. You can use that and just put it right on there, and that should get the starter motor going. And that way I can also work the throttle up here without having to sit on the floor. So let me turn the ignition on. I'm gonna get a piece of wire for right there, and then let's see if this thing fires up. It's not really dripping or anything, but it's sweating a little bit of fuel right there. So I have a large fire extinguisher and a bucket full of water with the wet rags, just in case. But let's just make sure that everything is clear. Nothing going wrong. I put a new cap on there. And really, we're just seeing if it fires up today. Don't want to run it long with that leak, but I just want to see if anything happens. So we broke the throttle once. Choke should be on. And here we go. It's a little bit on the way rich side, but well, he was running, not greatly, but I think we'll go and turn it off now. It turned off itself. But I can see we had excellent oil pressure. It was all the way up on the gauge and it was charging. Okay, we have that tiny leak there, but let's just turn it one more turn towards the lean side because I think we are quite rich still. And yeah, I got the oil coming out there. Let's see there. All right, we'll give this one more shot and just sort of see. Because I don't want to run it along with that leak, and also still need to sort out the vacuum system. We just blanked off things, but yeah, we have a lot of vacuum things. I'm trying to figure out what I don't need with all the smog stuff removed and what I do need. But we'll put these back in. Okay, let's try this one more time, see if I can do it one-handed. Nope, I think I'll need two hands. Let me set you guys up in that tripod again. Okay, give it some throttle and... Let me actually crank them back about half a turn, because maybe that is actually even a little bit too little for it right now. Did this even turn? It kind of didn't feel like it did. We'll turn it all the way rich, and then we know it's 1.5 turns up. So there is all the way rich. It's 1.5. Okay. We'll try this again. I think if it doesn't really want to now, then we will do something else because, I mean, it's leaking up here. We don't want to cause a fire. It does spark a little bit right there, but we'll give it one more shot. Or maybe it's just... I think it is completely flooded. But yeah, chokes still need a little bit of work. Just general tuning of the whole thing. But I mean, it fired up right away, so that's not bad. But maybe we'll try it one more time without any throttle input. We're flooded, but I mean, it fired up, so that's not bad. All right, I got it to start again, and well, it was just really flooded, so I took the plugs out, cleaned them up, and turned them a little bit leaner, and it's running. I mean, we still have a bit of a leak. We have a squealing belt, but go and just turn it off now while it's running and see if I can set it even a little bit leaner than that. Because I think we can even go just a tiny bit leaner because it is flooding as soon as it tries to start. So I'll do that right now. Let's see if it fires back up. Believe it or not, it's idling. So I've done a couple things, but the yeah, we just ran out of fuel. That's what happened. But before that, it was idling. Let me turn this off. 5 liters goes fast. But yeah, I got it to idle and we got it to start going up temperature. The fuel leak actually went down a little bit. So that's why I decided to do this. It wasn't dripping anymore. Of course, we're still going to replace it, but all I wanted to know is, remember that little white plunger that's out there? So when we started, that was all the way out, but now I can, throttle linkage is a little messed up, but I can push it in with my finger now. A little bit more on that one than on this one, but that does mean that the chokes are moving. All those things are going. So let's disconnect the fuel pump. I just want to turn on the ignition to see how warm we got. Temperature gauge up. I think we just had it starting to move. Let's. So I mean, it needs to be tuned and all that, but I don't have any fuel leaks from the carburetors at least, and nothing else like that. So the chokes seem to be working. All of that. Okay, it's starting to move up. We can have a look at the things. But one more thing I did was, I mean, this is supposed to be a one-way valve, so there's not supposed to be anything going this way, but it was just shooting out air here. So I plugged it with a socket for now, or a socket extender. So before I can have a chance to remove all of that. And that did also improve the running a lot. Let's see. Okay, we're getting right up there. So I think pretty soon the choke would be turning off. So it makes sense that they're all moving now. But yeah, ran it out of fuel. But I think that is perfect because I'm going to replace those fuel lines. I don't want any fuel on the carbs. And just like that, it started raining like crazy outside. And even with the doors open and everything, there's quite a lot of fuel smell in here and exhaust smell. So I think we'll call that it for today's video. We want to get started. It does start now. It does need some setting up. I'm going to have a look at the linkage and a couple other things. Replace those fuel lines because they're a little bit small. The rest is 8mm, but those seem to be 6, and I didn't have any of that at home. So picked it up, replaced that, check for leaks, and then we'll continue with other things. So we'll get this thing so that I can actually back it out of here and we can tune it a little bit more outside so I don't smoke up my shop. But that will be in a future video. I think the next thing though, we'll get the interior in, which will mean having a look at those windows, fixing that. So the next video should be on the wonderfully quirky rear windows on an XJC. Anyways, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, share it with friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.